Do you know what 1% feels like? It feels like nothing. It feels like reading one more page when you're already tired. It feels like choosing water instead of soda, just once. It feels like taking the stairs. It's a whisper of effort, so quiet you can barely hear it over the noise of your own excuses. And that's why we ignore it. We wait for the lightning bolt of motivation, the grand gesture, the day we finally decide to change everything. We wait for a sign that never comes. But what if I told you that the entire architecture of a different life, a life you can barely even imagine right now, is built on that 1%? What if I told you that the math of transformation is brutally simple, and it's already working against you? Let me tell you about the number 1. 1 is the most dangerous number in your life. 1 is the status quo. It's what you did yesterday, and the day before, and every day for the last year. It's hitting the snooze button. It's scrolling instead of creating. It's telling yourself you'll start tomorrow. It's the comfortable, warm blanket of repetition. And here is the terrifying math of that life. 1 to the power of 365 is still 1. Do the same thing every single day, and at the end of the year, you are exactly where you started. You are 1. No growth, no change, just a deeper groove in the same old path. Your life becomes a flat line, a constant monotonous hum of sameness. You look in the mirror and you don't see the day you got stuck, because it wasn't one day. It was all the days that felt the same. It was the slow, imperceptible hardening of a life you never meant to choose. I lived at 1 for a long time. I lived in a small apartment that felt like it was shrinking. I had a job that was just a series of tasks, a calendar of deadlines that meant nothing. My days were photocopies of each other. Wake up, coffee, commute, work, commute, dinner, television. A vague sense of dread, sleep, repeat. There was no great tragedy, no catastrophic failure. That would have been easier in a way. A disaster you can point to, a wound you can nurse. This was quieter. This was a slow leak. It was the feeling of being a ghost in my own life, watching the seasons change from my office window, feeling the years pile up like unread newspapers on a porch. I was stuck on the number 1, and the equation of my life was a flat, unwavering line leading to a future I could already see in perfect depressing detail. The change didn't start with a bang. It started with a single stupid page. I found an old book on my shelf. Something I'd bought years ago with the best intentions. It had collected dust. One night, out of a boredom so profound it was like a physical ache, I picked it up. I didn't decide to read the whole thing. I didn't make a grand plan to become a reader. I just read one page, and it was hard. My mind wandered. I wanted to check my phone, but I finished the page. And the next night I did it again. One page. It felt pointless. It felt like trying to empty the ocean with a thimble. What was one page in the grand scheme of a life going nowhere? But I kept doing it. Not out of discipline, not out of some newfound passion. I did it out of spite for the monotony. It was my 1% rebellion. This is the secret they don't tell you. The 1% isn't about the action itself. It's about the vote you cast for your own identity. When you read one page, you are not just a person who has read a page. You are, in that tiny, almost invisible moment, a reader. When you do one push-up, you are not just a person who did a push-up. You are a person who prioritizes their health. When you write one sentence, you are a writer. These are tiny, fragile votes at first. They feel like they don't count, but they add up. And one day the election is over, and you look up and realize you have become, indisputably, the person who does those things. The math of mindset is not just about the accumulation of effort. It's about the compound interest of self-belief. Let's talk about the real math. The math that changed my life. It's the number 1.01. 1% better. It seems insignificant. It seems like rounding error in the grand total of your day. But 1.01, improved by just 1% every day, compounded over a year? Do you know what that equals? It's not a linear progression. It's not 1.01 times 365, which would be 36.5. That would be incredible enough. But it's so much more powerful than that. It's 1.01 raised to the power of 365. It's 1.01, 1.0, 1.01 every day for a year. And that number is 37.78. You start at 1. You end at nearly 38 times more than where you began. The tiny, imperceptible 1%, done consistently, doesn't just add up. It explodes. But here is the painful, difficult truth about that curve. For a long, long time, you see almost nothing. This is the phase where everyone quits. This is the valley of the invisible. You've been reading your 1 page a day for a month. You don't feel smarter. You don't feel like a reader. You've been doing your 1 push-up for 6 weeks. You don't look different in the mirror. You don't feel stronger. The graph of your progress is almost flat. It's hugging the bottom of the chart. And your brain, the part of you that loves the instant gratification of the snooze button or the social media scroll, starts screaming at you. It tells you it's not working. It tells you you're wasting your time. It tells you that you are a fool for believing in 1%. This is the test. This is where the winners are separated from the quitters. Not by talent, not by luck, but by the stubborn, boring willingness to trust the math when you can't see the results. I remember that phase so clearly. The 1 page felt like a chore, a meaningless ritual. I would look at the book on my nightstand and feel a little pulse of resentment. Who was I trying to kid? This book wasn't going to get me a better job. It wasn't going to make my apartment bigger. It wasn't going to cure the loneliness that sat in the corner of the room like a piece of furniture I couldn't move. But I had made a quiet promise to myself. Just 1 page. That's all you have to do. You can hate it while you do it, but you have to do it. So I did. I endured the flatline. I embraced the boredom. Because I had lived the alternative. I had lived at 1. And even the frustrating, invisible progress of 1.01 was better than the certain death of 1. And then, something shifted. It wasn't a lightning bolt. It was more like the sun coming up. You don't see the exact moment it breaks the horizon. But eventually, you realize the darkness is gone. For me, it was around month 4. I finished that first book. And without even thinking about it, I picked up another one. I was still only reading a page or 2 a night, but it wasn't a struggle anymore. It was a habit, a small peaceful part of my evening. Then, I started reading 3 pages. Then, 5. The 1% was compounding. The effort was becoming easier. The vote I had been casting for myself, the reader vote, had finally won the election. I was a reader. It was part of who I was. This is the exponential upgrade. This is what a growth mindset actually looks like in the real world. It's not about blind optimism. It's not about telling yourself you can do anything. It's about the quiet confidence that comes from the accumulation of tiny proofs. Every day you do that 1%, you are gathering evidence. Evidence that you can keep a promise to yourself. Evidence that you are stronger than your inertia. Evidence that you are in charge, even if it's just for 1 minute of your day. And that evidence compounds faster than the effort itself. Your self-trust starts to grow at 1.01 to the power of 365. Your courage starts to compound. Your ability to say no to distractions and yes to your own future begins to multiply. The 1% effort is the seed, but the tree that grows from it is a forest of unshakable self-belief. I want you to think about an anchor, a massive iron anchor on a ship. It's heavy. It's cumbersome. It's designed to dig into the seabed and hold the entire vessel in place against the will of the currents and the wind. That is your comfort zone. That is the weight of your habits, your routines, your fixed mindset. It is holding you in one place. Now, imagine trying to pull that anchor up by hand. You heave and you strain, your muscles burning, your breath ragged. You make a massive, intense effort for one day. And what happens? The anchor might shift an inch. It might stir up some mud. But the moment you stop, exhausted, it sinks right back into the mud. It holds you fast. This is what happens when we rely on intensity, on motivation, on New Year's resolutions and weekend warrior mentality. We burn out. The anchor wins. Now, imagine a different machine. A small, silent, electric winch. It's not impressive. It doesn't make a lot of noise. It doesn't require heroic effort. You just press a button. And every single day, that winch turns. Just once. It pulls up one single link of the anchor chain. One link. You can barely even see it move. For weeks, it seems like the anchor is still firmly planted. You look over the side of the boat, and the water is still. Nothing has changed. But that winch is turning every day. One link, then another, then another. And then one morning, you wake up, and the anchor breaks the surface. It's free. You are free to sail. The current can't hold you anymore. The wind is yours to harness. That winch is your 1%. Consistency will always trump intensity. Boring discipline will always outlast dramatic motivation. Your life will change in the small moments that nobody else sees. It will change in the 5 minutes you wake up early, not to check your phone, but to stare at the ceiling and plan your 1%. It will change in the choice to walk around the block instead of sitting on the couch. It will change in the sentence you write in a journal that no one will ever read. It will change in the breath you take before you speak in anger, the 1% more patience you grant to someone you love. Transformation is not a spectacle. It is a quiet accumulation. It is the geological, slow work of becoming. The Grand Canyon was not carved by a single cataclysmic event. It was carved by the persistent, gentle, relentless flow of a river, one grain of sand at a time. You are the river, and your 1% is the current. The math doesn't lie, but your excuses do. You tell yourself you don't have time, but you have time for 1 minute of deep breathing. You tell yourself you don't have energy, but you have energy for one stretch when you get out of bed. You tell yourself it doesn't matter, but it is the only thing that matters. A year from now, you will have wished you started today, because the equation runs in both directions. Neglect also compounds. If you get 1% worse every day, if you let your skills atrophy, if you let your cynicism grow, if you feed the part of you that says it's all pointless, the math is just as brutal. 0.99 to the power of 365 is 0.03. You will deteriorate to almost nothing. You will become a shadow of your potential. The choice is not between massive success and staying the same. The choice is between building towards 37.78 or decaying towards 0.0. There is no neutral. The universe does not allow for a number one. You are always moving, always compounding, in one direction or the other. So what do you do with this? You don't need a big start. You just need a small one. You need to find your one page, your one push-up, your one sentence. What is the smallest possible thing you can do that moves you 1 degree away from your current trajectory? It has to be so small that it feels almost laughable, so small that you cannot possibly fail to do it. The goal is not the action. The goal is the identity. The goal is to cast that first, tiny vote for the person you want to become. Forget the mountain in the distance. Just focus on the next step. The one right in front of you. That is where the real winners are built. Not in the spotlight, but in the dark, quiet moments of decision that nobody will ever celebrate. Every single morning, you stand at a crossroads. It's not a dramatic movie-style choice between good and evil. It's a quiet, internal choice between two numbers. 1 point or 1.0 1. You either repeat yesterday, you put on the same clothes, think the same thoughts, follow the same routines, and reinforce the same identity. You choose the number 1. You choose the flat line. Or you build tomorrow. You do one tiny thing, one almost invisible gesture, that points you toward growth. You choose 1.01. You choose the compound curve. This choice is repeated hundreds of times a day. To scroll or to read. To complain or to act. To eat what is easy or what is good. Every time you are casting a vote, you are choosing your number. I'm not the person I was in that small, shrinking apartment. The path out was not a single leap. It was a trail of 1% steps. The books led to new ideas. New ideas led to a different perspective at my job. The different perspective led to a small project. The small project led to a little more confidence. That confidence led to a difficult conversation I'd been avoiding. That conversation led to a better understanding. It was a chain reaction of tiny, compounding victories. My life didn't change overnight. It upgraded 1% at a time, until one day I looked around and the landscape was entirely different. The anchor was up. I was sailing. Your future self is already waiting for you. They are standing there, a year from now, 5 years from now. Who are they? Are they the person who stayed at 1? The person who lived the same year 80 times in a row? Or are they the person who trusted the math? The person who endured the invisible progress phase? The person who collected those tiny 1% proofs every single day until they became an unshakable force? That person, the 37.78 version of you, is not a stranger. They are the potential that lives inside you right now, in this very moment. They are begging you to make the choice. The boring, simple, profound choice. So here's what I need you to do. I need you to close your eyes, just for a second. And I want you to ask yourself one question. What is my 1% for today? Not for the week, not for the year, for today. What is the one, tiny, almost insignificant thing you can do to be 1% better than the person you were yesterday? 1 page, 1 minute of silence, 1 healthy meal, 1 moment of gratitude, 1 deep breath before you react. Find it. It's there. It's always there. And then I need you to do it. Do it even if it feels stupid. Do it even if you're tired. Do it even if you're sure it won't matter. Cast your vote. Pull up 1 link of the chain. Be the river for 1 more grain of sand. Your future self is watching, and they are counting on you to start building them today.